Oh wow, I actually woke up and remembered this was supposed to be an architecture channel. Welcome to Tri-Cities Vista. With a population of more than 50,000 residents, I consider this city to be my Magnum Opus, a totally pre-planned development which prioritizes sustainability, commerce, the motoring enthusiast lifestyle, some degree of walkability and public transit, and of course, being obscenely wealthy. Because we all know I'll never be such in real life, let's be honest. Allow me to take you through some of TCV's many districts. We begin at the top of a nearby mountain, not unlike some of the mountainous cities of, say, Colorado, Denver, Aspen, what have you. Following the freeway takes you into West Topaz, a high-end tech hub flanked on either side by business and residential districts before arriving at Golden Gate. Golden Gate is home to City Hall, other government offices, and a massive multi-denominational house of worship and burial ground. To the south, you have the hotel and entertainment districts, and as you get into East Topaz, you have more residential, a city park, and a bit of a suburb before the freeway takes you down the mountain. Heading back to the Central Beltway takes you into the College City. There is both a general university and an institute of technology in this area, as well as ample amounts of student housing. The university has its own entertainment and sports district, meaning most post-secondary students can live and work here without needing to go into the main city proper. Moving over to the Nelson area of TCV starts us off with an oil field, because motoring city, followed by a general industrial district, and then the community of Nelson proper. As a major source of income, Nelson gets a ton of traffic, making that Beltway spur absolutely necessary and a bit of a choke point during rush hour. Unfortunately, there is not a lot to be done about it. Another Beltway takes you past a municipal airport and into Night City. I know, how original. And then going south, you hit the suburbs of Garland, Fairview, and a few other tech and tourist districts. Finally, at the very bottom, all freeways and beltways converge to the International Airport District, a major tourist attraction complete with an expo center. All of that is a lot to take in, so let's use this moment to discuss how one gets around this mighty metropolis. Most of the freeways use half interchanges, so one entrance, one exit, with the number of exits kept to a minimum. Most traffic is then confined to city streets, with lots of crisscrossing one-way streets and wide boulevards. A note on the Golden Gate interchange, I kinda stole that bow tie interchange design from the Market Street interchange in San Francisco, but opted for a roundabout connector because everyone loves roundabouts apparently. Speaking of, there is a bypass highway connecting the university districts to the west suburbs all the way to the dam, and we will get to that in a bit. As you get onto the beltways, there are more half interchanges, but also a lot of trumpet interchanges for continuous flow. They're just really simple yet effective, so I always use them. The switchbacks in the hills were a bit tough to engineer, and you'll notice the rails had to be tunneled. I cannot stress enough how difficult the terrain was, but what you need to know is that adjusting the median to consistently house one of the rail lines pretty much set the entire layout for the city's construction. Keeping all the bridges flat and level between road and rail meant a lot of raising and lowering hills, so as you get to the valley, you see a bit more of this kind of separation. And once you get to the airport, well, this was a nightmare, I'm gonna be honest. 3-level stack, road and rail without obstructing the nearby runway. I think I drew heavily from Las Vegas and the McCarran Airport here, but even then, I was struggling quite a bit. Really, the easiest part of this network was the outermost beltway, which only connects to Garland and nothing else. It was honestly the final part of the city, and then I was done. Alright, so that's enough of the roads, let's talk about mass transit. The airport at the summit forms the terminus of the cargo railroad, and it goes out along one side, then through the freeway median as you saw before. On the other side, meanwhile, is a metro line, which prioritizes passenger traffic. It has stops at Golden Gate, the university, both Night City and Fairview, and then finally the airport. The rail hub at the airport can double as a passenger rail hub for out-of-city travel, though this is less often used, honestly. So yeah, that's the transport system in a nutshell. Traffic may sometimes get bad in certain places, but ultimately it all works. Meaning we can finally move on to my favorite topic, and that's water. TCV uses a dual water system, and it is genius if I do say so myself. Water is extracted from aquifers deep within the mountain and piped to the upper districts as normal. Excess water flows into a spillway to collect in a nearby reservoir. Additionally, wastewater is treated and also flows back into the reservoir, all of which forms a hydroelectric dam. Water which collects at the bottom of the dam gets retreated before being pumped across the valley to serve the suburbs as well as Nelson. Wastewater in this system is sent to the industrial district for treatment and eventually collects in the water table downwind, which helps those oil fields whose purpose is, you know, extracting oil and natural gas, probably through fracking because, well, humans have learned absolutely nothing. Now let's talk power. The upper district is all renewables, solar, wind, water, obviously, while the lower district is nuclear because, holy frick, power needs do be insane in this city. Nuclear requires a ton of water, and that is why you see so many water tanks scattered about the city as an insurance policy against times of drought. All of this comes together to create a Tri-City, which can comfortably house 50,000 residents while having an additional 1,000 to 2,000 visitors every week. There is a ton of high-density residential, but I did buckle down a bit and allowed some low-density housing because this is America and Americans like their burbs for whatever reason. Population density then is pretty easy to calculate. The city is approximately 17 square kilometers or 6.5 square miles. Population density then is 7,850 people per square mile, making it nearly twice as population dense as the aforementioned Denver, Colorado. I would say that's pretty good for a city that is deep within the mountains. And the thing is, being in the mountains doesn't stop it from being an affluent city. Land values are in the upper tier in most residential neighborhoods, though commercial and industrial zones are a bit more seedy, I guess. Lower incomes, the lack of proper amenities, but worst of all, a lot more traffic. And you just can't help that, unfortunately. Speaking of which, a major problem in many cities is that of noise pollution, of which the bulk is going to come from vehicle traffic when it's not coming from industrialism. I always use office buildings to buffer this noise, but again, the larger problem is you need these beltways to navigate the steep hillsides between districts. Not to mention, of course, having 3 airports. And I just want to say something because it infuriates me whenever I see it on social media. If you personally advocate for building housing next to either a metro line or a train line, you need professional help. Both types of rail vehicle produce sounds well in excess of 100 decibels, and that is enough to cause permanent hearing damage after extended periods. Just no. In any case, yes, the city is a bit noisy 24/7 because there is activity 24/7. There are a lot of night activities as well as a lot of hotel casinos. It may not be anything like Las Vegas, but the Dawnbreak Strip and the Victoria Strip give you plenty to do. Night City is also a very popular nighttime destination. Just be careful who you meet on the street. Really, I think that's it. I've said all I can think to say about this city. Full disclosure, I started this project over a year ago. And then because I was working on other games for my channel, it just fell by the wayside. It feels good to finally close the book on this one, especially because it does encompass everything I wish real-world American cities were more like. I want to know what y'all think. Feel free to leave your comments, but do be gentle. Anyway, I do hope you enjoy these breathtaking final views. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in future videos.